You're listening to the Telltale channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media: Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. So the next article I wanted to take a look at is entitled "Conservatives Lash Out After Kentucky Governor Says Churchgoers May Be Quarantined." This is again by Hemant Mehta on Friendly Atheist. So let's read the article and see what it has to say. It was written April 11th. Kentucky has a statewide stay-at-home order, but it's unclear if churches are exempted from that rule, which means Easter Sunday could be a disaster for citizens. If people dare to attend a service in person with hundreds of other people, they could be putting everyone they meet at risk. Yesterday, Democratic Governor Andy Beshear warned people, not just Christians, but everyone, that he was taking the stay-at-home order seriously. He said that if there were any gatherings of more than 10 people, law enforcement officials would record all license plates and make sure you're quarantined for 14 days. It's for the sake of everyone's health. You can see it around the 3711 mark.
Any individual that's going to participate in a mass gathering of any type that we know about this weekend, we are going to record license plates and provide it to local health departments. The local health departments are going to come to your door with an order for you to be quarantined for 14 days. That if you're going to expose yourself to this virus and you make that decision to do it, it's not fair to everybody else out there that you might spread it to. This is just an example of personal responsibility. And we're going to make sure that those that are going get notice that this will happen, that if they're going to participate in the mass gathering, it's 14 days self-quarantined at their home. Somebody makes that decision, okay, but understand that this is the only way that we can ensure that your decision doesn't kill somebody else, that your decision doesn't spread the coronavirus in your county and in your community.
I am so 100% for that. Holy shit. I could not possibly be more in favor of that. I think that is such a good idea. So I think this guy's a Democratic governor. I could be wrong. I believe he basically took the Republican governor of Kentucky. He took his seat very recently. I think it was the last election he took his seat. That is an extremely good idea. If you want to participate in Easter celebrations or whatever, breaking the rules, then we're going to record your license plate and basically enforce a 14-day quarantine on you so that you don't kill anybody else. It's a really, really good idea. I'm actually very impressed with that idea. Let's continue reading here. Just to summarize, this is a quote from the video. Any individual that's going to participate in a mass gathering of any type that we know about this weekend, we're going to record license plates and provide it to local health departments. Local health departments are going to come to your door with an order for you to be quarantined for 14 days. If you're going to expose yourself to this virus and you make that decision to do it, it's not fair to everybody else out there that you might spread it to. This is just an example of personal responsibility. 100% agree. 100% agree. We're going to make sure that those that are going and get noticed that this will happen. And if they're going to participate in the mass gathering, it's 14 days self-quarantined at their home. Somebody makes that decision, okay, but understand that this is the only way that we can ensure that your decision doesn't kill somebody else. It's a really, really good decision that I think this governor made. I really like that a lot, but unfortunately, it's still a risk for these people to go out anyways. They can mail a letter from inside of their home, and if they do, it very well may spread the virus to other people. Just mailing a letter. Spread it to the postman or whatever, who then spreads it to the guy behind the counter at the post office who's tossing it into a bin, who then spreads it to all of the other letters that are going to all of the other people that are in that bin. It's not even as simple as just forcing them to quarantine for 14 days because they still need food. They still need to go out. This is an extremely complicated situation. The only solution is for everybody to stay inside for 14 days. That is the only solution right now at this immediate moment. And the fact that these people are going out and celebrating their stupid fucking religious holidays is putting everybody at higher risk. It's like anti-vaxxers refusing to get vaccines or refusing to get their kids vaccinated. It's putting everybody around them at higher risk. This doesn't just affect you. This affects everybody around you. This isn't just your decision. If you wanted to be a fool with your own decisions, fine. But your right to swing your fist ends at the tip of my nose. You don't have the right to fuck me over in some way. I have the right to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, and you don't have the right to step on that, basically. That's my whole philosophy behind this situation. They want to have their liberty and go to church. Well, they're more than welcome to, until it infringes on my rights to life. They can worship in the confines of their own home. God is supposed to be in your heart, not in a building, right? So act like it. Anyway, let's continue reading here. Somebody that makes that decision, okay, but understand that this is the only way that we can ensure that your decision doesn't kill somebody else. All of that is sensible. If you're going to spread a disease, you must be isolated from the public. But of course, conservative Christians who have no self-worth if they're not pretending to be persecuted, that's true, persecution complex. I talk about that in a model that I wrote recently. Who have no self-worth if they're not pretending to be persecuted, are claiming Bashir and anyone else who's a Democrat, really, wants to punish Christians for practicing their faith. Here's conservative liar Todd Starnes, who called Bashir fascist and godless for trying to protect the public. I predicted that godless heathen Democrats would eventually pull a stunt like this. Folks, I tried to warn religious leaders that this was going to happen. If you give an inch, the godless leftists will shut down your churches, threaten to arrest your preachers, and quarantine your congregation. Okay. Oh my God. I don't even know where to start with this. Jesus Christ, he's an idiot, says Hemant Mehta. There's no atheist group celebrating the pandemic because it moves church services online. If Starnes thinks Bashir is going after Christians, then he ought to explain why it took a pandemic that shut down all mass gatherings for the plan to go into effect. It's not like mosques, synagogues, and book clubs are exempt from the rule. But it's easy to lie to Republicans by pretending Democrats hate Christians. That's true. They're usually... A lot of the time, extremist Christians are willing to believe just about anything about Democrats because churches engage in political discussion, even though they're not supposed to. And they keep their tax-exempt status through it anyways. By the way, not only is Bashir a Christian, he and his wife are deacons at their church. That's fascinating. So the governor who issued this order is a deacon at his church. And they're talking about the godless Democrats, the godless leftist Democrats. Senator Rand Paul also jumped in on the right-wing bandwagon. Taking license plates at church, quarantining someone for being Christian on Easter Sunday? Someone needs to take a step back here. Okay, nobody's quarantining someone for being Christian. They're quarantining them for gathering. You fucking fool. This dude has the virus. How is he taking this position? Unironically, this blows my mind. Kentucky governor announces plan to record license plates of Easter churchgoers and force them to quarantine for 14 days. Honestly, I think it's an extremely solid plan. If you want to go to church, be my guest. We're not going to jail you for it, but you are going to self-quarantine for 14 days after that. Honestly, it seems like a fair trade-off. You want to go to church on Easter Sunday, fine. But you will self-quarantine for 14 days after that. I couldn't possibly be more in favor of this plan. He's not saying he's going to jail them for going. He's saying he's going to make them self-quarantine afterward. Again, this isn't a plan to persecute Christians. It's a rule to prevent all mass gatherings for the sake of public health. I swear, anytime a neutral rule applies to Christians, conservatives think it's only about them. They are very self-centered sometimes, aren't they? I would urge people to avoid church in general, but at least this weekend, avoid in-person services. Watch a service online. If you pray from home, God will still pretend to hear you. Yeah, it's a good point. Like I said, God is in here, not in here, right? God is supposed to be in your heart, not in a building. The building is just a place where people congregate. has nothing to do with whether or not God can hear you, according to a lot of Christians. Why go there and risk everyone's health instead of just praying at home or watching the service through Zoom like Jehovah's Witnesses are doing? It's absurd to me.